Thank you everyone for joining this admission fair webinar organized by ABP. Today we are going to talk about new age career options for biology students, pharmacy, bioscience, life sciences, biotechnology, and bio research. So after completion of class 12, uh, for while students who wants to opt for a career in biology, there are multiple different options apart from the traditional subjects that are already been there, like for example, zoology, botany, and physiology. Nowadays, students wants to get into an application-oriented subject where there are more job opportunities compared to the traditional subjects. For example, biotechnology, microbiology, agriculture, or pharmacy, food technology. There are many other options, sir, and they are confused which subject to choose for their career. And during their class 11 or class 12 biology, when they study biology, the biology they study mostly based on knowledge on zoology and botany, and there are lots of knowledge that the teachers impart, but it more concentrated on the memorization part rather than application oriented part that they study, which percentage wise much less compared to the memorization part. So they don't know what are the options that are there in biology field. And traditionally they usually opt for either medical. They always know that there is a medical field, and but apart from the medical field, there is a big field which is the applied biology field, either it's biotechnology or microbiology or agriculture. They are not aware of. But the last 1.5 year, due to the pandemic, the somehow the pandemic created a lot of awareness in the field of applied biology, where students now know, because they know, they actually heard the news on the television media, or they have read on the newspaper. There are different career options that are available for the students. And also they are not aware of the vast the companies that are available in India, who actually take biology students after their completion of our undergraduate or postgraduate degrees. So today we are going to talk about all these options that are available. Students who wants to choose academia as the career options, who wants to complete their higher studies, complete their PhD, and choose a scientist as a career as a scientist or as a professor, or different job options available in the academic sector. And also there is a big industries available in India where many students get into. And thanks to the pandemic, the awareness now is increased quite a bit. So today we have three distinguished speakers with us who are going to talk about all these different career options for biology students who aspire for and have a career both in industry as well as academia. I'm going to introduce all three distinguished speakers. With us, we have Dr. Abhijit Mitra, who is the Director Research at Techno University, West Bengal. He has his credit about 615 scientific publications in various national and international journals and 52 books of postgraduate standards. Dr. Mitra is presently the member of several committees like PACON International, IUCN, SIOS, etc., and has successfully completed about 19 projects on biodiversity loss in fishery sector, coastal population, alternative livelihood, climate change, and carbon sequestration. Dr. Mitra also visited as faculty member and invited speakers in different foreign universities of Singapore, Kenya, Oman, and USA. Presently, his domain of expertise includes environmental science, mangrove ecology, sustainable aquaculture, alternative livelihood, natural resource management, blue economy, climate change, and carbon sequestration. So I'd like to open the session with Dr. Abhijit Mitra, and welcome, sir. Welcome to the webinar. And if you could light upon the different opportunities for biology students, especially for the class 12 students who has now passed all the examination results are out, and they are looking for opportunities in this particular biology sector. So if you could light on that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Saha, for introduction, and thank you to all the dignitaries and honored members present here. So the question is that about the students who have passed class 12 with biology as the primary subject. Well, I will tell that uh, although you have told that these are the traditional subjects like zoology, botany, and physiology, and then other subjects, but there are certain branches which are coming out from this traditional subject. For example, if a candidate, if a student takes zoology honors or botany honors, they can go directly to some of the important fields like fisheries, like agriculture. They are actually sprouting from these traditional branches. Now, again, I'm telling that if a student is having zoology or botany honors, but they have chemistry, this is very important, chemistry as one of the past subject, then there are different options. For example, forestry, there are a lot of scopes in forestry, then climate science, then oceanography, blue economy. These are the non-traditional, which we are perhaps we are not aware. For example, oceanography is taught in the coastal, in the maritime states of Indian universities like Kerala, like Odisha, like Chennai. These are the maritime states adjacent to the coastal zone. So oceanography and marine science and marine biology, which is a very lucrative one, readily they get their job in places like National Geographic Channel, Greenpeace, then WWF India. These are the scopes in fisheries, and there are several private industries like IFB, because those who are doing the prawn processing. Now the students are not aware of these sectors. Sometimes they after even doing their postgraduate graduation in biology, they say, oh, there is a job in that private sector. Yes, there are so many factories, means the foreign factories like CP. They are preparing the prawn feed, the prawn feed, and they are asking for the zoology students, they are asking for the bioscience students who have the experience in preparing the fish feed, and they get a very lucrative salary, at different tiers. They can be done. And even there are a lot of scopes. Even I will tell that in some of the universities like Florida, Purdue University, California University, there are scopes for the marine biology students. Even in India, there are so many R&D of CSIR where they are doing the research on the oceans, like National Institute of Oceanography. It's in Goa, and they have got several branches like Cochin and other things, and where the biology students are the lucrative, and they can opt for this. But very few of us get acquaintance with these subjects. So these traditional subjects, whether it is zoology, botany, or physiology, if they take a chemistry, there are a lot of scopes. And number one, this is about the traditional. And number two is that after doing class 12, they can go for the BFSC, Bachelor of Fishery Science, Masters of Fishery Science. It's a special branch. Even in Kolkata, we have the West Bengal University of Animal and Fishery Science. They can go for that also. If they score at a much higher rank, for example, more than 80 or 85% in class 12. So fishery is a good is a good venture. In several industries, aquaculture, fisheries, they are booming in India. Even in the pandemic, there is a craze for the fisheries have not gone. If you see the supply chain of the Spencers and other things, Big Bazaar, they are supplying fresh fish, fresh biological items to every households. So there are a lot of job opportunities. I mean, they can go for the BFSC, they can go for the traditional line. But chemistry, I would suggest the students to try to get chemistry as one of the first subject, because then there are options in various dimensions. And thirdly, I will tell that regarding the job opportunities, the biology students get plenty of opportunities in the forest department, in the pollution control department, in the state pollution control department, in the central pollution control department, even in the ONGC. Even in the ONGC, they because some of the small phytoplankton in the ocean, they act as the precursor of petroleum bed, because they are the indicators where there are petroleum. So even in the ONGC, the biology students are also taken up. So these are some of the prospects for the biology students. Thank you. Then we can flow. Definitely, I'll be there.
Thank you, Dr. Mitra, for telling us different options for biology students, which are somehow our students probably not aware of. For example, fishery or marine biology or forestry or oceanography. And there are opportunities available in India and student can pursue after class 12. So now I'm going to uh, talk to Dr. Debdutta Bandyopadhyay, who is the Senior General Manager at Zydus Research Centre in the Cell Biology Division and in the R&D wing. His study in diabetes and cancer earned him more than 38 publications in journals like JBC, Cancer Research, Aging Cell, Oncogene, and other peer-reviewed journals. He has also authored chapters in textbooks like Pigmentary System and Current Protocols of Cell Biology. In Zydus Cadila, his research activities orient around diabetes, inflammatory disorders, infective diseases, and COVID-19. Presently, he is serving as the head of the in vitro and cell biology department that led to 10 investigational new drug molecules. So thank you, sir. Welcome to this webinar, ABP webinar. And if you could tell us about the different opportunities that for a biology student, they are present in industry. For example, as you are already working in a Zydus Cadila and similar type of industry, which pharmaceutical or medical industries, and what are the opportunities for a biology student are there?
Thank you, Dr. Saha, for your nice introduction. For the new students who are interested to pursue their career in the field of biology and biotechnology, the first thing I want to say is that we often limit ourselves in the, as Dr. Mitra said, in some traditional area. So biotechnology means we have to go for some recombinant proteins. Biotechnology means we have to go from some cell biology, but we are not limited to that. If you are a student from biotechnology or BSc or BTech in biotechnology, both works, or even biochemistry, biology, all those other fields, lots of different options open for them. It opens a huge horizon. For example, common traditional ways of thinking is going for pharmaceutical companies and work for R&D, as I am doing. So in R&D, what do we do? In my division, we are the cell biologists. So our job is to develop either cell-free or cell-based assay system, like measuring the enzymatic activity or measuring the activity of a drug in a cell by measuring some kind of parameter, whatever it is, some protein level or whatever it is. That is the traditional thing. What we don't think is the other lines. I will name one by one. Number one is, say, quality assurance. Quality assurance is a big chunk of job where biology students, biotechnology students are needed. Second is, say, intellectual property. Intellectual property is something which very few universities have specialized courses in intellectual property. So most of the companies, they hire people from biotechnology or biology field or chemistry field even as their IP persons, because that's a very important part. The IP has to be protected, especially for company or for any kind of thing where there is a patent related issue. Drug delivery. Drug delivery is another chapter where we don't focus that much. It is not only research and getting a new drug in the market. It can be the same old drug, but what are the different ways we can deliver it? Does it have to be like always oral, or can it be nasal or sublingual or buccal, or different kind of delivery systems are there? How do you formulate a simple same compound? Say paracetamol. Paracetamol is a drug which we normally take as a tablet. Can we feel it something like under the tongue, sublingual? So those kind of options are there in drug delivery. Vaccine is coming in the main research part. Dairy industry. Dairy industry is something where biotechnology students are needed. Breweries. Brewery is another very promising field. Forensics, which I forgot. Forensics are mostly government jobs. Forensic laboratory, they need molecular biologists, especially molecular biologists for doing RT-PCR, checking the blood sample and matching it to parental service or those kind of things. These are important in forensics. Cosmetic service. Cosmetic service is another which lots of companies have their sub-wing as cosmetic service. Business development is another. If you think that you are a good speaker, I'm talking to our viewers, the youngsters. If you think you are a good speaker, you can talk very well, you have a convincing power, then go for business development. Because most of the business development guy, they understand the business, they don't understand the science. So if you are a person who understands the science, as well as get some management type of diploma even in a latest time, then also this field is very much open for you. So all these fields are open for biotechnology students, and one should not restrict himself or herself to only that I will do research and I will do R&D and I will prepare drug. No, you have to keep yourself open to look for other things. Oh, another field I was missing, a very important field, toxicology and pharmacokinetics. Toxicology is one field where they check if a drug in its different formulation has any kind of bad effect on the human. So naturally, it is a very important part because any drug has to be gone through these rigorous toxicology certificates, studies and certificates before getting approval from the government. So toxicology is almost, this job is almost available in any company, any pharmaceutical company where there is, regardless of their R&D, whether they have R&D or not. If they have a drug which they're planning to send into market, they need toxicology guide. So that is another. Another one is drug metabolism and pharmacokinetics. That's also another wing they can option. They can take the opportunity, and that's also open for lots of different companies, irrespective of R&D. I'm especially mentioning R&D. The reason being, not too many companies, pharmaceutical companies in India have R&D division. It's only a handful of them. But if you look at the production part, all of the pharmaceutical companies must have their production wing. So production, DMPK, toxicology, these things are very important. So the new batch of students, they should keep themselves open to any of these areas. I mean, when they have to choose any specialized topic, specialized subject in their bachelor course, they can opt for toxicology, they can go for pharmacokinetics, all those things are there. I'm not very much well versed with the structure of the academic sector here. I mostly confine myself in the industry area. So I'm giving the options that are open for the students. I think that will give them some kind of food to think about. I think we can go with our next speaker.
Thank you, Dr. Bandyopadhyay, for giving us a brief introduction of different divisions where biology students can get a job in pharmacy or medical industries, as well as other options in the which are available in like dairy or brewery or forensic science events. So thank you, sir. Now our third distinguished speaker is Dr. Amit Chakrabortty. Dr. Amit Chakrabortty is the CEO of FMCG startup Intelligent Consumer Products Private Limited. He was previously a director of search and evaluation at GSK Consumer Healthcare. So welcome, Dr. Chakrabortty, in the ABP webinar. And if you could give us an understanding other than non-pharmacy, non-medical industries, where are the options are available, especially in FMCG, as you are already starting CEO of a startup. So if any opportunities for a biology students in FMCG companies or other companies in India?
Well, thank you, Dr. Shah, for the kind introduction. So if you look at physics, chemistry, and biology, the fields of physics and chemistry has gone into details much earlier. But biology at a molecular level has started only very recently. So if you are looking for opportunities, I think going till now, even going forward, there'll be a lot more opportunities in biology. And what will also happen is a lot of these opportunities you'll find will be in conjunction with physics, in conjunction with mathematics, in conjunction with chemistry. And I will elaborate on these things a little more, and then I will also give you a reference on industry. As Dr. Shah said, I used to be an assistant professor at University of California, San Diego. Then I joined Hindustan Unilever or Unilever Global Company, and then I went to Glaxo. So as you see, FMCG companies also do a lot of R&D work, a lot of biologists are recruited. And the reason is, FMCG companies produce products, and these products, you will see, they said there's a particular benefit attributed to it. And if the benefit is a biological benefit, then of course you need biologists to do research. So they recruit cell biologists, they recruit molecular biologists, they recruit microbiologists, a very important function so that they can carry out with products. So suppose you have a floor cleaner and you say that it is killing germs. So two things. First of all, it has to kill germs. Otherwise, you can't claim it because you will be fined by the court if someone complains. Number two, whatever you put in it to clean the floor, and as Dr. Debdutta said, that it cannot harm you because it cannot be toxic to you. So yeah, safety is very important. And then whatever you make had to be, manufactured in a factory, in a plant, and thereafter you have to look at it is manufactured rightly. The raw materials are required, the process is required, and this process is not always just engineering. Because if you do the process wrong, the biomaterial may not be active. I mean, you take molecule A for killing the microbe or the germs, and you do a process and the molecule A becomes molecule B and it has no efficacy. So at every level in these companies, biology is required. Biology is also required, the supplier. So as I said, raw materials. The raw materials are coming from other suppliers. There are big companies like BASF, Dow, DuPont. These are global companies. They spend billions of dollars each year on R&D. What they do, they don't sell it directly to the consumers. They sell it to these big businesses, including some pharma companies, and a lot of them to FMCG, even to oil companies. They have huge teams. They have biologists to work on, say, even for oil field companies, they have ingredients that stops, what you call a biofuel generation in oil pipeline. So like Dow has a Chicago completely dedicated to this research, a full institute, huge. I mean, about 150 people work there. Similarly, in each area where it's water purification is largely for microbial purification. Also, there's some chemical purification. You don't want pesticides and other toxic substances. Now, all this again needs a lot of biologists to understand that what will actually keep those microbes out, either a chemical process or a filtration process or any other new kind of processes. I was talking about conjunction subjects. I talked about chemistry, physics, and maths with biology, and you should choose what excites you. Like today, if you have been seeing with COVID, you are saying this genome, there's a COVID genome, so virus has a DNA or an RNA or a double-stranded DNA, single-stranded RNA and all that, and they sequence it and they analyze it. There's a subject called bioinformatics. So it is a kind of mix of biology, certain amount of statistics, some mathematical modeling, as a very interesting subject, growing exponentially. I mean, today, when I used to do my PhD, used to do only a few thousand sequences in a day. And I'm one of the guys who used to run gels and rather later run the ABI, automated sequencers. But then the data used to come very low. Today, you can do a full genome in 3 days. Now, this data has to be analyzed. And there's huge, even today when you are doing, you see, there's a lot of discussion in the media and the government saying that we need to sequence the viruses and understand. So you sequence and then you analyze. So you need analysts. Same is true for drugs, even for cancer drugs. There's a Watson Center which actually holds the global data on cancer drugs and their effects. So there can be positive effects, there can be negative side effects, and conditions things cannot be given. I'm just taking cancer as an example. So people use bioinformatics, which includes metabolomics. So basically, you eat something, as then it breaks up into your gut system, in your intestine, and it gets absorbed. What gets absorbed is very different when what you eat, and then what is assimilated in your body through the blood circulation and different organs is very different. And these are called metabolites. You get metabolites in plants also. So understanding of metabolites within the body is important from a drug point of view, as well as understanding health point of view. You are looking for cancer diagnostics. You said that certain antigens or certain bodies are required. You have to pick them up, and how you pick them up is all a mix of biology, maybe a mix of chemistry. Metabolomics is also important for, if you want, a lot of these medicines and products you see today, including alcohol, is produced through yeast, or alcohol is mostly through yeast. There are bacterial produced, and even there are human or mammalian cell produced materials that they do. And these are basically, you take the gene, you put it in that that particular single cellular organism, yeast, bacteria, or a mammalian cell, and you then grow them and they express it, and there is a way you can collect it, and then you scale it up and you purify and you sell the product. Biologists are required there. Today, there is another area which is increasing exponentially, that is biomedical devices. If you see people are going for knee replacement, hip replacement, hearing aids, then then there are drug delivery. There are delivery. You'll see people taking on skin today. Today, you can take a lot of drugs by putting a patch on the skin. So that requires understanding of biology, understanding of chemistry, understanding of physics. Biomedical devices is going to grow exponentially. Very soon, if you see, the world is going in a way where a lot of the problems are not only solved by drugs, but by devices together, mix of drugs and devices. So if you have biology and you have a knack for physics, or if you have a knack for some kind of engineering, you can do that. And there are of course these area of oceanography, climate change, and standard pharma, and even pharmacies. If you as a pharmacist, even if you want to open a chemist shop, you need to have a degree. Otherwise, you don't get the license. So the scope of biology is there. The length of the scope, or I would say the scope for growth in an organization, is of course dependent on two things: your ability to understand new things, because when you are taught in a course, you will be taught only a few things. I mean, no curriculum can teach you everything, but you will be developing a base. On top of the base, if you have the inclination to learn more things when you join an organization, you will learn more and you will do well. Of course, if you do from a bachelor's, if you do a master's, you do a PhD, you spend more time, but then of course your chances of getting into an academic organization, or a industrial organization at a senior level and doing a larger chunk of work or taking a larger chunk of responsibility is also higher. So it all depends. See, it is everybody's condition is different, everybody's interest is different, their requirements are different, and you need to pick and choose according to your requirements. There is a lot of scores today. I say from an FMCG point of view, Hindustan Unilever employs a huge number of biologists from an R&D perspective, as well as from a manufacturing quality assurance perspective. Similar companies, Procter & Gamble, L'Oreal, there are a whole string of biologists. There are people who have done their masters, they have done their BScs, people, and at a senior scientist level, people are recruited who have done their PhD and done a postdoc abroad. So there are always mixes, and pharma is another sector that is growing significantly in India. As pharma is growing, their ancillaries are also growing. So that way, the opportunities for biology is, I should say, is a limitless future there. But you need to understand, you need to see what excites you. You need to see what kind of conjunction subjects excites you, and then you choose those. You should choose it intelligently and go into that. And once you are into it, just enjoy yourself.
Thank you, Dr. Chakraborty, for giving us an overview of many different options that for a student is available and they can pursue it. So now, before the questionnaire starts, before the students starts to put questions, I'm going to ask you some general questions that many students may going to ask anyway. So, for example, I'll come to first Dr. Mitra, Dr. Abhijit Mitra. As you know, due to the pandemic situation last 1.5 years, students are unable to do their hands-on experiments. So there is always apprehension that they are probably not going to be very skillful. They are lacking the skills that the hands-on experiments are going to impart to them. So how to overcome that? How to overcome that situation, and how teachers and students can together overcome this situation so that they can be employable, and as there is employability factors will come later, especially in the industries. So how, in your opinion, we can overcome that, student can overcome?
In fact, I will just give you an example, which I think you will like it and you will enjoy it. The Tata Steel company. The Tata Steel is a big name in every sector, starting from iron to transport to all other sectors. Even they are coming in a big way in the food market also. Now Tata Steel, they are going to open a biodiversity park. What is biodiversity park? Biodiversity park means that should be not like a zoo garden. That should be a beautiful educational park where there will be the open butterfly will be there. Now there will be a number of medicinal plants of traditional use, what the tribal peoples are using there, remote area where they are going to set up the mines. Then there will be a lot of fishes, and it's an excellent thing, excellent natural biodiversity park. Now they have asked some manpower who have got knowledge in botany, who have got knowledge in environment, who have got knowledge in zoology, because all these things are integrated to open a biodiversity. Biodiversity means all the biological branches of biological sciences are required there. Now, we are preparing our students how? The question is that there are two branches in computer science you might be knowing, AR and VR, augmented reality and virtual reality, where we are just teaching the students that if you go to a place, there are so many trees. Now you have to place a quadrant and you have to count the number of trees. How many mango trees are there? How many banyan trees are there? How many, say, neem trees are there? Then there are certain indices like Shannon-Wiener index, index of dominance. There are certain index by which you can judge the health of the environment. So these can be computed very easily over computer, and there are certain algorithms and there are certain softwares. But what is the problem is that if I take a student to the field and just put a quadrant and tell that these are the number of trees where you see the biodiversity is very high, where the biodiversity is very low. So that is the problem we are facing, but we are trying to overcome it through AR and VR. That is number one. Number two, now it has become because this not only Tata Steel, even various multinational companies, when they are going to open any industry, any factory, there is a clause in Government of India, not only Government of India, throughout the world, they cannot damage the environment. So there should be an environmental impact assessment, EIA. So lot of biology students have now successfully joining many consultancy firms where they are getting a good salary and they are engaged in such type of job. For example, what the biodiversity of the area, what is the health of that environment in terms of the plant species, in terms of the animal species. Even you will be surprised to know that biologists are being absorbed in many of the companies where carbon sequestration is done. You know, in Calcutta, there is a lot of pollution. Carbon dioxide is increasing day by day because of the urbanization, industrialization, etc. But there are certain trees which can absorb the carbon, not all the trees. Many trees are very damaging to the environment. For example, eucalyptus. Very damaging to the environment. They suck up the water and they damage the environment. The water level is going down. The Calcutta means the soil is getting depressed and they are subsiding. So there are a lot of things which have to be learned. So that is also one of the options. The name of the subject is Natural Resource and Biodiversity Conservation. So biodiversity conservation and this type of allied subjects are also found in various of the Indian universities. For example, Koraput Central University, in BHU, even in Durgapur College, which we used to previously, about 10 years back, I used to teach over there, Natural Resource and Biodiversity Conservation. That is also a very beautiful line. But the thing is that what questions we have asked, these are field-based questions. They are field-based subjects. So we are facing trouble and we are trying to overcome it with AR and VR technology as much as we can. And sometimes we are giving them project work so that we are getting the reply from that, and they are going to some of the fields with proper precautionary measures and counting the number of trees, then the number of animals, and submitting the project reports. And there are a lot of softwares which we are imbibing in them. So that's why how we are just trying to tide over this situation of pandemic.
Thank you, Dr. Mitra, for answering the questions. Through virtual labs and other means, we are trying to minimize the effects that in absence of hands-on experience. So now we'll come to Dr. Bandyopadhyay. There is talk about employability, and in India we always talk about that there is a gap between what we teach in the universities and when the students go to the industry. There is a big gap because they are not that skillful. The skills that are required are essential for the industry. So how when a student come to your company for a job, how you assess the employability, and what are your suggestions for the universities or educational institute to minimize this employability gap?
Very good question. I should start with maybe citing my own example. I have MSc in biochemistry and PhD in molecular biology. Then I went to different academia labs in different cities of Houston, USA, in Houston especially. So when I joined this Zydus Research Centre 16 years back, I was surprised to see that I don't know anything. I mean, they were talking about PK, which is the abbreviation for pharmacokinetics. I was listening pKa, which is the acidity value. So I was kind of in a limbo situation. What would I do? Slowly, I started learning things, that what is important here and what is the basic knowledge that I have that I can turn into applicable knowledge over here. So I was in a very, very bad situation in the first couple of months. I didn't know what they were talking about. So I started reading, because no university in the world can teach you everything. That's for sure. You may be expert of something and you are joining a company which need a little bit different expertise, not core-wise different, maybe it's the same core, just a little bit different branch of the same expertise. You have to align yourself. You have to learn. You have to learn new things and put it there. I learned chemistry. I learned mass spectroscopy. All those things I have to learn over here. I had no experience in that. Similarly, when I recruit people, I keep two things in mind. Number one is, what is the interest that person have in learning? Is the person interested in learning or not? That I try to judge. And I try to judge some very basic thing, like as simple as what is the difference between mole and molar. I go up to this level. If I see the person is more or less knowledgeable in their basic field, in the basic knowledge, and the person has a very good interest in learning, I don't have any reservation for hiring that person. So once I have had lots of people who have basic BSc background, and they're very useful. They are very much, they turn themselves into assets of the company. So one of them, actually, I had to, she was planning to leave. I had to retain her. And she joined 10 years back as just a BSc person. So the main point that I look after is, what is the interest of learning and what is the basic knowledge. I give a very big importance of basic knowledge. And third, one more important thing that I put a huge amount of percentage is that logic sense. How logically can you deduce a problem? In one Viva or something, in this recruitment Viva, I gave a very simple question. If the symbol of oxygen is H and if the symbol of hydrogen is O, what will be the formula of water? And you won't believe, 50% student failed. I mean, there is no trick. There is nothing knowledge. It's logic. It's logic. I just reverted them and they were like, okay, what will be that? I found H3O, I find OH2, lots of different. I mean, very few people I could find who wrote O2H. So that is very important, how logically you can approach a solution. What is your basic interest in learning and what is your grasp over the basic things. Maybe up to class 12 is fine. Class 12 is enough for me. I can build them from there. So that's my take for when I look for recruiting people. I don't look for people, have you done this essay, have you done that essay? He has done one essay, he didn't do the second essay, and here everything is different. I won't limit him or her to do only one kind of essay. When I hire that person is supposed to perform like 6-7 different kind of essay. And I don't expect that that person will come with all 6-7 different kind of knowledges. Only thing is that, and so far I am satisfied with those 3 criteria, I'm okay with that person. So that's my take.
Thank you, Dr. Bandyopadhyay. This will give a lot of courage to our aspiring students who wants to have a job in industry. And now I'll come to Dr. Chakrabortty. You can again talk about the employability a little bit, give your view. Also, I want to ask you one specific question. Now, as you know, different government, even government in the agencies as well as UGC and other regulatory bodies now ask for innovation and startups in university. They are asking what are the numbers of startups that are generated from the university or innovative practices, innovations that are done in the universities. So as you are now a CEO of a startup, you already started and you have the idea. So what kind of suggestion you want to give us for a student who wants to be an entrepreneur, start their own business, and what are the basic steps that they should know to start a business in India?
Yes, so I will start with employability, and I think I completely agree with Mr. Debdutta. It's your attitude to learn, to pick up things and assimilate things. I look at that. That is very important. The other thing is, you have learned the basics of some knowledge. That knowledge has come because of your intellectual. There's a lot of intellectual capability, but we also look at the emotional capability. These people now say IQ and EQ, and we also look at how people respond to during interviews. We actually tested that how people respond to different difficult scenarios, how the interpersonal communication, can they work in teams, and that is very important. So we do check that, and that we place a lot of importance in that, because a lot of things we can teach. Once you come in, nobody expects them to be up and running in day one, unless if you want, then we'll recruit someone with 3-4 years of experience. Then they will come and be up and running, in 2 days. But if you are taking, directly from a college or an university, then we know that they will learn the aptitude to learn and the aptitude to be able to, manage their emotions and work in a mixed team and different scenarios under stress is something very important. Yeah, your question on startups. In fact, I wanted to dwell on that. See, today, I will start globally and then I will come to our places. See, if you to go to Stanford, if you go to Boston, MIT, Harvard, today the faculty in the last year of the course encourages you to start something. And then there are, of course, people, there are avenues who can actually fund you to start that. And that is a culture that is growing today. A lot of these technologies that you see are, many of them have started as startups. I mean, today one of the biggest companies in the world, I mean, who do the most of the business. If you look at, Microsoft, you look at Apple, you look at Google, you look at Facebook, you look at Amazon, you look at Tesla, everything, all of them are startups. And that culture, it took some time, but that culture came to India also. I mean, today we are seeing unicorns, so many unicorns from India. We have seen Paytm starting the unicorn journey, and we have now you see Zomato IPO. So there's a lot of fanfare and there's a lot of interest in startups. And I think students should use this opportunity. First of all, you should understand that it should come from inside you. You should not start a startup because you want to make money. You should start a startup because you think that this is possible, others are not thinking about it, and I want to do it. Then only the success will come. And that is the most important part of it. And then you need not know much about it. I mean, as long as you have this, this fire inside you that, this is a problem, I have some sort of idea to solve it, and I will find out a way to solve it, and it is worth solving, then you go ahead and what solve. Of course, initially you'll have to do a lot of work, lot of research online, talk to experts, and at some point you'll also have to pick up some level of funding. It might be from your parents, maybe from family, or maybe from a friend's father, but you have to pick that up and start. But as I said, don't say that I will start a startup because I want to make money as Paytm is doing. No, you start because you are very passionate about it. You really can't do anything else than start that. And that's why you should do it. Today, most universities, there are government incubators, there are university incubators, there are IIT. So the support for startup is a huge network of support, both from government as well as from academic institutions, as well as most of the big industries. They have an arm where actually they run what you call accelerator programs with startups. So starting from companies like Siemens, starting Google, Microsoft, everybody runs these kind of programs. Even some of the FMCG companies, some of the drug companies also run accelerator programs in India. And once you start looking into it, go to the networks. Each city has this startup network and mentor network. There's an institution called the Indus Entrepreneur. We call it TIE. So TIE had branches even in tier 2 cities. So if you are in Jaipur, don't worry. Jaipur, I have been to a couple of places to talk to people and mentor. And there are 2 or 3 startup organizations, not startup organizations, but organizations with support and mentor startups, help them grow, help them get funding, teach them how to make a pitch deck. And it is spreading fast. Even if you go to Kozhikode, there is something there. So you link up with those things, see how you feel about it. If required, you can just simply go and attend some of the sessions to see, does it excite you? If it excites you, you inquire about it, think of an area, and you get going. If it doesn't excite you, join an industry, learn, and if between your career it excites you, leave the job and you start a startup, like I have done.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir. And one question came directly to you from a student community. One student asked that, please, Dr. Chakraborty, please share your career journey with us. And also, if you had to give the student community one tip or advice to remember as a life lesson, what would be it?
My career journey, okay. I'll be brief. So it's interesting. I did my master's in chemistry. I have a postgraduate diploma in business management. Then I did my PhD in Indian Institute of Chemical Biology, CSIR, in molecular biology. Then I did a postdoc on molecular cell biology in Chicago, University of Illinois, Chicago. And then I was an assistant professor at University of California, San Diego, and I was looking at molecular neurobiology. And from there, I joined Unilever, and those days it was Hindustan Liver Limited. It was, the Indian company was separate. And I started looking at soap, skincare products, ponds. So you can see, I was looking at molecular neurobiology, and I moved to this. But this still did excite me because, see, and in academia, it is exciting because you are finding new knowledge. You are actually looking at new biology. You are trying to publish papers because it is new and you are letting people know that. In an industry, you take that knowledge and you can't do just only with biology knowledge. You have to understand a little bit of chemistry, a little bit of engineering, talk to other people. You make a product and that product gives a benefit to people. Today, I mean, most teenagers get, what you call pimples or acne. So if you can make a product and solve their problem, they are happy. You also feel happy. And of course, your company does business and you're also rewarded. So that is the thought process that comes. Working in an industry requires a lot of teamwork. You need not understand certain areas, to a fullest extent, but you have to slowly grow and appreciate. You can't say, I am a biologist, that is some chemical engineering or chemistry, I don't want to talk to that. No, that attitude will not take you. You need to have some baseline understanding of the language they talk, so that the more you understand that, the more you will be able to develop new things, get new ideas which you can share, and then you grow. So after I joined as a scientist, later, I was a director. I was looking at research of around hygiene and drinking water purification. So that included multiple categories: floor cleaners, skin cleansing, skin care, deodorants, oral care. And I had about almost 90 people reporting into me across 3 continents. Then I was the global R&D operations director of Unilever. So I was there at their head office, and Unilever at that time had about 6,000 people working in R&D globally. So we used to manage that and a budget of about 2 billion euros. And then I left Unilever. I joined GSK Consumer Healthcare, not the pharma or the vaccines unit, GlaxoSmithKline. And there I was looking at acquisitions. So basically, as a company, not every time you cannot invent every product, or you cannot come up with technology. Everything you can't do it, because then the number of people and the number of time and the resources and the money you have to spend is too much. So what you do, you look for outside, and it might be a startup, it might be another company, and what you do, evaluate the technology, evaluate the product, and either you buy it, or you can say, I will give it me as a license. So at this agreement, I will pay you this much, and I will use your product or your technology to make my product. In fact, I ran 2 accelerator programs, first ones for GSK Consumer Healthcare, one in India and one in Beijing. So, and that was the time I interacted with startups a lot. I was a charter member as a mentor to startups through TI Delhi, and then I got the bug and I started on my own. The single thing I should tell people is that don't give up. I mean, if you have not failed, then you have not tried. Even when we were children, when they try to sit up, they fall. When they try to walk, they fall. When you start cycling for the first time, you fall. If someone says, I can cycle well, I've never fallen, I don't agree. I mean, he's lying. So don't be afraid of failures. Happy to fail. Speak about your failure, then only someone will get the advice to, how to overcome your failure and move to the next step. If you fail and you're ashamed about it and keep it within yourself, then you will never get a solution. Because unless asked, people don't tell you how to do that. But knowledge is there. There are a lot of people to help you. Please ask for that and you'll be helped.
Thank you, Dr. Chakraborty, for explaining, giving us tips for the students and also sharing your career journey. Thank you, sir. Now I'll come to Dr. Mitra again. So there are a couple of questions for Dr. Mitra. So first question that biology students, they always afraid of mathematics, at least some percentage of the students, and they think, they always think that without whether the mathematics is essential for their career later, whether without mathematics, whether they will be able to survive in an industry or in academia. So in your opinion, the importance of mathematics in biology?
Yeah, it's a good question, but the thing is that now the barrier between the all subjects have dissolved since a long time back. Because when we talk about biophysics, when you talk about bioinformatics, you have to know certain things on computer, you have to know certain things of biostatistics, you have to know something about the entropy, enthalpy, the physics, laws of the physics, the laws of the thermodynamics. So basically why I want to say this is that this subject has converged, all the subjects have converged, and biology has today has become an interdisciplinary subject. Biology is not like the previous subject of 18th or 17th century, the taxonomy, this is the species, Mangifera indica lean, and I tell it a mango. No, now it is a mango of several types. You go for the genetic engineering, different varieties of mangroves are coming. Then people are confused whether it is really a Langra or a Himshagor, whether it is this variety A or this variety. So you go for the barcoding. So DNA barcoding is again important. So now for this you have to know a little bit of, they are not that much of mathematics. They should not get afraid. They should be encouraged that we are learning something new. The concept is something new. We are putting some knowledge of mathematics, some knowledge of physics, some knowledge of chemistry, the biology, and flourishing, not only flourishing the subject, flourishing their own self, flourishing means the students are flourishing themselves only. So I think that it has become an interdisciplinary nature, and they should not be afraid. Particularly statistics is very important, and statistics is so easy, so easy. It means even I think the biology students, they know a lot because they have passed class 10, and in class 10 mean, mode, median, some relationship, interrelationship, these are very, very important. Even in biology student, if they tell that if there is a toxic substance, the fishes will die in the Ganges. So more the toxic substance, less will be the fish. So there is an inverse relationship. This inverse relationship is just like the physics laws. More is the pressure, less is the volume. That's the inverse relationship. So they have learned it, and I think they should get encouraged that they are doing it, but with a different parameters in biology. The same thing they are doing it. So they should not be afraid, and I think they will be motivated while learning this mathematics things.
Wonderful, sir. Thank you for answering the question. Another question for you. One student put forward that how should I prepare for MSc entrance examinations? For example, JAM or GATE for IITs, and also the MS-PhD. There are various MS-PhD programs, for example, from TIF for exam or other research institute examination. How they prepare, how they shape their career during studying in undergraduate courses.
Yes, a very good question, because GATE is mandatory, and even for the NET exam, for getting the fellowship and doing R&D, and it's mandatory. You have to get a fellowship, otherwise you cannot take up the cost. So first thing is that you have to, what I am telling, because the student may find irritated while answering, but when I was doing MSc, during the MSc, I scored the NET examination, the NET. Because it is mandatory for going in any university. So how did I prepare myself? I started doing tuition. When I was in BSc, I started doing tuition very boldly of class 12. And that gave me, because if I go for a tuition, they will just ask me some questions, and if I cannot answer, not only they, but their guardian will also tell, oh, what a tutor has come. So this is one step. You have to prepare yourself under pressure to keep your prestige and to keep your flag important. This is number one. Number two, you have to know the NCERT books are very, very nice. For GATE exam, I will suggest to go for the CBSE NCERT book of class 12, where there are physics, chemistry, biology. So those are very important things for scoring in a NET exam or in the GATE exam, because they have to first appear a multidisciplinary type of question in paper one, and then they have to go for the subject. For subject of the biology student, I know the students who are preparing, they are master. But for the interdisciplinary subject, they have to know certain knowledge of physics, chemistry, biology, for which I will suggest them to study the NCERT books. They are really commendable for this type of exam.
Great, sir. Thank you. Thank you for answering the questions. And now I'll come to Dr. Bandyopadhyay. A couple of questions, if you could explain. For example, there is it's a very common question for class 12 students, that whether they choose between these two streams, whether they choose biotechnology or microbiology. This confusion is always there, and they don't know what are the job prospects if they choose biotechnology and the job prospects for microbiology students, and whether one is better than other. So if you could answer that question.
First point is, it's not better than other. I mean, both have their own virtues. Like say biotechnology, in biotechnology courses, you learn some part of microbiology, and in microbiology courses, you learn some part of biotechnology. So it's just the name, which one has more percentage of that. Microbiology has more percentage of microbiology credits and less percentage of total biotechnology. Biotechnology, on the other hand, has got more biotechnology aspects. Job-wise, microbiology people are more accepted or more expected in the field of breweries, dairies, and the companies who are expert in antibiotics. But it is not restricted to that. Our company, for example, we are also interested in some antibiotics. So we have some microbiology specialists also with us. We have biotechnology specialists because we have biotechnology sector and we have lots of vaccines coming up. So we have immunologists. It is for industry, it is as Amit has already said, that everything is intermingled. It's not like that you are expert in one and you stay expert in one and work in silo. It is not like that. You have to mix and match with others. So microbiology or biotechnology or biochemistry as such, whatever the subject is, doesn't matter too much. You have an opening for anything. You have biochemistry, you have biotechnology, you have microbiology, doesn't matter. Even molecular biology, everything is welcome. Everybody is welcome. As long as your score is good, you have basic knowledges, you can understand, as Dr. Abhijit Mitra said, the interdisciplinary thing. You need to know a little bit of mathematics. You need to know what integration means. You need to know what differentiation means. You need to know why there is a plus C comes after the integration. Lots of people doesn't know why after doing the integration, why from this plus C comes. I talk to different engineering students. It's a constant. I know C for constant, but where from this constant come? If I don't use that constant, what goes wrong? Logarithm. Logarithm is something you must know. I mean, it's a basic thing. Logarithm is something basic thing. So those things you have to know. Microbiology, there is a log scale growth. Microbiology, the organism, microorganism, they grow after some time, they take a log scale and then they plateau out. So that log scale grow. What is log scale? So you need to know a little bit logarithm. So microbiology, biotechnology, biochemistry, I mean, don't discriminate. Go for anything. Go for anything. Get good score and be always careful about spreading your knowledge a little bit in a multidisciplinary way. So that is my take on that one, on that question.
Great. Thank you, sir. Another question for you. Another common question, like students after completion of their undergraduate or postgraduate degrees in biology, either in microbiology, biotechnology, or pharmacy per se, they wants to go for an MBA, and they thought that doing an MBA may increase their job prospects in an industry. What's your take on that? Whether that is
clearly no. I don't personally care whether a person have MBA or not, because my job doesn't have the department I work and for the department I recruit. I'm responsible for recruiting. Has nothing to do with business administration. And whatever business administration knowledge is needed, it is not learned from books. It has to come from inside. That I have to put my company's business first. I'm working in a company. So my company is a for-profit company. I have to look for my company's profit. If I propose something which is philanthropically sounds very good, but economic prospect is not that great, my company will immediately trash it, and I cannot complain, because that is the basic point. They pay my salary out of their profit. So if they cannot profit, I'm jobless. That we have to understand. And therefrom, I mean, I don't have an MBA degree, but I went for a couple of trainings, of which one part was business orientation. So how to do the business orientation? They give you those small kind of training in every company. So you will learn some management aspects, staying in a company, keeping your eyes and ears open, and the windows for learning open. If you keep your windows for learning open, you will learn things. I don't have a single person who has MBA in my department. I have about 17, 18 people in my department. None of them has any kind of MBA degree or diploma. All of them are pure hardcore science. They are either Master of Pharmacy, B.Pharm, Master of Biotechnology, Bachelor of Biotechnology, B.Tech in Biotechnology, all those degrees I have. But none of them has any kind of MBA. So MBA, in my case, I would suggest, if that person is not particularly interested in business development or sales or those kind of things, MBA is not that much helpful. MBA, the field will get slowly in the company. You just have to be little proactive. You have to keep your windows open. You will learn those things.
Great. Thank you, sir. Now I'll come to Dr. Chakrabortty again. Another question. So if you could explain it. So one student asked that after completion of MSc in physics, should I do PhD or should I opt for a job? Which is advisable?
Well, that's a difficult question. You have to decide, because if you have done till MSc, then you are old enough to decide on your own. If you think you love physics and want to learn more, you can do a PhD. If you think that you have learned quite a bit and you want to try how it is applied in an industry, you can go for a industrial position. If you want to teach in a university as an MSc, prospects are a little less, but you can do that. But it is what comes from inside you, what drives you, what is your passion. Or if you have, say, a certain constraint that you need to get money for your family, then of course you need to do a job and you can do a PhD as part-time. But at that age, it is your decision, as per your requirement and your environment. It is your call. You have to take that.
Great. Thank you, sir.
Can I have a comment on that?
Sure, absolutely.
That's a very good question. Couple of years back, about 2-3 years back, I gave a talk on this career prospect with a huge chunk of students in Gandhinagar IIT. And I got that question, which way to go, to industry or to academia? I mean, I always said what I did is I chose two persons. One, I said, somebody raised hand who is interested in academia. So a girl raised her hand, and I got another person who is interested in industry. I got them both on the stage and asked them to give the 2 chairs. They sat face to face, gave them 2 microphones. I said, you convince each other that which one is better. So I actually gave a kind of debate. And then the thing came up. It's basically, as Dr. Amit said, it's basically within yourself. What is your mental makeup? What is your mental makeup? Do you want to go for hardcore research, or do you want to kind of compromise on your passion? Because in company, you cannot really carry out your passion. The company will choose which is their preference. So you have to direct your research, your thinking in company's way. But at the same time, you get paid a little more. So you have to choose yourself. That's within completely your mental makeup. I think that's a very good question and a nice answer that Dr. Chakrabortty gave. It's a everlasting question. I always get that question, which one is better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, both of you. So no further questions. So before the end of the session, I will come back to every one of you. Your final thoughts and advice for the students, specifically the biology students. So Dr. Mitra, so if you could give your final thoughts and advices for the student.
My advice is that it is interdisciplinary in nature, number one. So they should concentrate a little bit of knowledge on chemistry as well as the mathematics. I think these are the 2 major backbones for the biology student to get up into the ladder. This is number one. Number two, they should not get afraid of the mathematical things that they are avoiding. Rather, they should enjoy it, and with a statistic, with a maximum weightage on the statistics, because statistics is a very interesting subject which is taught even in biology. When we go for the genetics, the Hardy-Weinberg's law and other, from going from F1 to F2 generation, what will be the result? A lot of statistical applications are there, so weightage should be on the statistics. This is number two. And number three is that don't get depressed if you don't get a job in your line, because lot of consultancy firms have been opened nowadays, and you can also start off your own. You cannot imagine, even I am telling you, I know many students after doing MSc, they are on ecology and environment, they are preparing food items like cookies, yogurt, jelly, jam from the seaweeds and from the mangroves. Even they have started manufacturing hand wash, and they are making their own business. Hand wash from the seaweeds, from the mangroves, and some other floral ingredients. So the thing is that even you can start your own job at your own venture, at your own confidence. So this is the three items I must give as my end message to the biology students.
Great. Thank you for your wonderful advices, sir. Now, Dr. Bandyopadhyay, if you could advise our students.
My first advice is to look within yourself and figure out what do you want to do. You want to go for industry and do research in industrial way, or in processing, or in IP, or whatever the other subjects we have been discussing so far, or you want to go for a hardcore research, write your own grants, do your own research, publish papers, and do basic things or somewhat applied things. That's completely up to you. But whatever line you choose, academia or industry, my suggestion will be, as Dr. Abhijit Mitra said, get some Indian disciplinary knowledge. Don't limit yourself only to the field that you are learning. And nowadays with internet, maybe you are a hardcore microbiology MSc or microbiology BSc, but you can learn HPLC, you can learn mass spectroscopy, you can learn what is the chiral center. You don't have to wait for a book or something. You can learn anything. So that is very important. And be logical always. And don't get upset with things. Industry or academia both have their pros and cons. In fact, last year, somehow this time, I don't remember the exact date, I have a column written in ABP Edu News based on industry or academia, which one is better. I discussed in detail the pros and cons of both the sectors. So my suggestion is keep yourself open for both the side and take a deep dive within yourself, find out where you suit more, which shoe fits you more. And that way, you can get a more satisfactory job profession by yourself. So that is the biggest thing. But wherever you go, again, interdisciplinary, logical mindset. That is the best thing that you can do.
Great. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Dr. Chakrabortty, your thoughts.
Especially students who are just passing out 12th standard, you might get what you want. You might want physics, you might want microbiology, you want biotechnology. But if you want biotechnology and you don't get it, you get microbiology, you might be depressed, but don't get depressed more than a day. Go into your subject, learn the basics, interact with your teachers, with fellow students, and try to learn what is there. Also, choose, as you know, there will be other subjects also, not only just the biology. Choose a subject which you like, along with it, chemistry, maths, physics. If you like it, if you love it, choose it and do that well. Once you see beyond class 12 is all about, learning knowledge as well as getting your marks. But in BSc, yes, you need your marks, your score, but it's also very important to learn, because that is what is you're going to make a living out of. What you're learning in a graduation is you're going to make a living out of. Either you go to your master's or a PhD, or you go to an industry, you are going to make living out of that learning and learn more on that. So that base you have to do well. So don't try to kind of take it loosely. And once you have got that, when you passed out, you don't, you follow your passion. And if you think jobs Jobs are a lot of places. Like I'll give you an example. Like University of Chicago is very well known for physics, and that is where the first atom bomb was made. Many of the PhD in physics, where they work? They work in Wall Street, stock market, because they are fantastic analytics. The analytical ability and to analyze data and predict is excellent. So many of them end up there. So there are a lot of options. There are a lot of funding agencies or investment companies which invest, and they need biologists, to kind of guide them. And you can be a consultant there, and then you can grow. So there are multiple areas and opportunities. There are mixed opportunities. Keep your mind open, be eager to learn, absorb what is happening around you, and you will succeed.
Thank you, Dr. Chakraborty. So thank you all the speakers, all the distinguished speakers for explaining different job opportunities for our students and clearing the confusions that our students had. And thank you for that. Thank you for all the advices that you have given. And thank you for joining the webinar. And also, I'd like to thank the students for putting their questions. And I hope that after the session, all the confusions are now clear and you can pursue your passion and have successful career in biology. Thank you. Thank you everyone for joining today.